Hey, what's up guys? Tyler here with Secureteam. Well, I wanted to post this quick video to profess that, I believe that I have discovered solid proof in a newly released piece of Apollo moon footage, which I'm going to show you just here in a second, of obvious activity happening above their heads while they are down below, walking around, messing around on the moon's surface. There are things happening up above them in the darkness of space, things moving around. And we'll get to that here in a minute. So first, I want to show you the clip. Now, this was just released by NASA, and it's actually the highest resolution ever taken. I believe it was during this might be from the Apollo 16 or 17 mission. One of those, I believe 16, where they have the rover on the moon. We have an astronaut recording the other astronaut as he's driving around in the lunar rover. So go ahead and check it out first. See if you notice anything strange, but just watch it and we'll talk in a second. And so at the beginning, I asked you guys to just watch it, just for the beauty of the shot itself, and as well as to see if you guys saw anything strange happening. Now, you probably did. There's a few points in this footage where you can see these little flashes of light or reflections of light from something moving ahead on the moon. Some of you may think that these were, simple pieces of dust or scratches or after effects from the development of the film. And that does happen, that's clearly possible. However, as I was analyzing this footage, and I was going frame by frame over some of these lights that were appearing in the darkness of space above them or in the background, I noticed one particular point at around the 26-second mark that really made me have to sit back in my chair and say, okay, wow, we have got something here. And what I captured and found in this footage that you can go and watch and download yourselves is that there's a point where there is a very faint blue light that appears in the top left-hand corner of the screen. It's right dead center on the corner there, almost out of the shot. And it only appears in one frame. It just blinks in and out. And you actually have to really increase the contrast to see it. And so as I paused it, and I was kind of trying to figure out what this blue light was, I moved down to the bottom of the shot where we can see the lunar surface and noticed that this blue luminescent object is actually casting a shadow down on the moon. Plain as day. And let's just put this out there, lights and camera artifacts do not create shadows on the lunar surface. And the shadow appears at the exact point and frame that this strange blue object or light appears hovering above. The shadow is also in the exact same spot where you would think a shadow coming from this object would be. It's directly below this blue light here. So you're seeing the before frames, the during, and the after, and I've got two arrows here. One is pointing to the blue object that appears, and the other arrow is pointing down below to where the shadow being cast by the object appears. And by the way, we have seen these blue luminescent, they look like they're glowing in many cases and in many photos. But here in a second, I'm going to show you a number of photographs, still images taken during this same mission, where the astronauts, unbeknownst to them, have captured these glowing blue structures, sitting up in the sky in the distance, hiding in the darkness of space above the moon. So stay tuned for that. I'm going to show you, I've got a whole case here that's going to prove that these objects, now I don't know if they are monitoring the astronauts on the moon, I don't know if they're like little alien drones, I don't know what they are. But we do have solid proof here that they're not just camera effects and that these things cast shadows. And I believe here we have the very first video proof, catching one of these things moving across the surface at a high rate of speed and casting a shadow down below. Now, a second ago I said we have much more evidence of these strange blue objects flying by during these Apollo moon missions. In fact, during one of the Apollo missions, one of the astronauts briefly mentions these objects that are flying overhead while they're walking on the moon as visitors, and that it's, quote, hardly worth mentioning.
Well, let's see, we've had visitors again. Yeah. Hardly worth mentioning. Okay.
Okay, so we've had visitors again, and so it's obvious that the astronauts knew of this strange and mysterious presence around them while they were walking on the moon. Astronauts have said that they were followed to and from the moon by unknown craft. They would see lights outside of their windows while they were circling around the moon. They would hear strange things. They would see lights down on the surface, some of which they described as looking like campfires. And so they were not alone. And as you're seeing in these photographs here that prove that the astronauts were not alone on the moon, show point blank these objects that have these blue glowing auras around them. This one being one of my favorites because you can actually see the actual ship or object that is sort of hiding within this bluish glow.